In the preceding example, we demonstrated a basic switch statement, and we did so using a controlling expression that produced an integer value. You can use any of the integer types, both for the controlling expression and for the individual cases in a switch. You can also use the char data type as well, and if you need to specify a char literal, such as the letter A, you would enclose it in single quote characters as opposed to double quote characters. C# also supports strings in switch statements where the controlling expression is something that produces a string value and the cases have string literals in each of the different cases. And that's what we're going to demonstrate in this example. Before we look at the example, we have a small problem statement here. You've been hired by an auto insurance company that serves these Northeast states. The company would like you to create a program that produces a report indicating for each of their auto insurance policies whether the policy is held in a state with so-called no-fault auto insurance. And those states are a subset of the ones up above here. So Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania are the so-called no-fault states in the Northeast United States. So let's go ahead and take a look at our auto policy example, and you'll find this in the folder fig06_11 to 12. So I'm going to open up that project, and you'll see we have two classes here, autopolicy.cs, which we'll look at first, and autopolicytest as well. Now, the auto policy class has several public properties. These are all read-write properties that are auto-implemented. One, which is the account number for the insurance policy, that's an integer. And then we have strings for the make and model of the car and the state in which the policy is held. Our constructor simply initializes each of those properties with a corresponding parameter value. Now, the key piece in this example is the isNoFaultState property. This is a Boolean read-only property. It's going to return true or false, and it figures out what to return in its getAccessor. So once again, we have a property here that does not have its own backing store. There is no fault state property or instance variable rather in the auto policy class. Instead, it's calculating its value by checking the state in which this particular auto policy is held. So we have a getAccessor that declares a local variable bool of type bool called noFaultState, and it's going to switch based on the controlling expression state, which as I hover over it, you can see is a string. It's a string property of the auto policy class. Now at line 27, we show you several cases for which we want to set noFaultState to true, and notice in this case that we listed them all horizontally in a single line of code, but every case still has the case keyword, the literal value that we're testing for, and a colon. So case MA for Massachusetts, NJ for New Jersey, NY for New York, and PA for Pennsylvania. If any of those matches the controlling expression, we will set noFaultState to true. And for all other cases, we will set noFaultState to false, and then we'll simply return whatever the value of noFaultState is after that switch statement executes. Now to test that out, we have our autopolicyTest class, which defines a main method and another static method called fromMain. We created two separate autopolicy objects, one which has an account number, a make and model, and New Jersey as the state, and one that has, again, an account number, a make and model, and Maine as the state. We then call our static method policy in noFaultState and pass in policy 1 and policy 2 in lines 14 and 15 respectively. Now within that method, we take the auto policy object and we display information about that policy. So we show you the account number, the make and model, and the state in which that policy is held, and then we invoke the read-only property isNoFaultState, which is going to return true or false. And notice that we're using this here in the context of a conditional expression. So if isNoFaultState is true for the given policy, we will display the string is, otherwise we will display the string is not, and then we will follow that with a noFaultState. So if I run this program here, we can see that The policy held in New Jersey is for a no-fault state, and the policy held in Maine is not for a no-fault state. So the switch statement is dealing for us with the testing of the string objects against the individual cases within that switch.